Welcome to the Oaks Podcast. I'm your host, Travis Hall, alongside my wife and co-host, Ingrid.
On this podcast, we talk about all things real estate, entrepreneurship, business, faith, family, you name it, we talk about it, and how we do it all as an equally yoked husband and wife team.
We are glad you're here. Thanks for listening. Enjoy this week's episode. What's up, and welcome to the Oaks Podcast. I'm your host, Travis.
Welcome to June.
And welcome to June. And welcome back. We are back.
Yes.
We had a little hiatus, unintentionally, but...
Well, as we finished Life of May with children.
The people want to know, where have you been? And we've been going.
Yes. Yeah.
It's been great. Took 2 weeks off, but just with all the things. This is my first weekend back in town in 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Not just we've been gone a lot and had lots of things going, but we realized, like, holy cow, I had 5 weekends in a row where I was gone. Mm-hmm. So it's been amazing and busy.
Yes.
Of all the fun things. But it leads us to today.
Yeah.
Where we get to recap the fact that we bought an RV park, which everyone knows, mm-hmm. but we also bought a second RV park.
Yeah.
And closed on it, and how it kind of ties to our book that we did for May, which was David and Goliath. And so it kind of makes you think, we bought an RV park, and what was the Goliath?
Yeah.
And so it's
a reevaluation of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we spent some time in Portland. Mm-hmm. My sister completed a residency program. Yep. It's always nice now that we've moved to a smaller town to go visit the big city. The kids are enamored. The traffic is horrendous. And the food is really good.
Yeah, the food is great.
Way better.
We enjoyed the food for sure.
For sure. It was fun.
Shout out to Dr. Ilsa.
Dr. Ilsa. I did say if you have a doctor in your family, a lawyer in your family, some of those service providers that cost a lot of money.
It's helpful.
It's super helpful. She has saved us many a dollar.
Real estate professionals.
Yeah, actually. But she's saved us lots of dollars on copays. So shout out.
That's been good. Well, cool. Let's kind of dive in a little bit with the book.
Yeah.
And really just like a high level, it was kind of fun how it connected, because we'll do another deep dive into the actual deal specific things.
Sure.
People always like to hear that and like how it works. But we are kind of drinking from the fire hose right now.
100%. There's a few fire hoses.
Exactly. And so it is kind of funny, because in thinking about David and Goliath, this the simple story, not even the book, but David becomes the hero because he conquers this giant,
right?
Goliath, right? And so the book talks a lot about what are those Goliaths in your life, right?
Sure. Yeah.
And disadvantages, advantages, all the things. And so it's funny, like, you think back to buying an RV park, just an RV park. Most people would think the Goliath is finding the deal. It is underwriting the deal, financing. If you did for seller financing, negotiating, all those pieces, raising capital, raising your down payment, and getting to closing. And it's funny, like, sure, in that season, but then once you own it, the closing is just the starting line. Yeah. Because the Goliath isn't that. The Goliath is operations.
Oh, it sure is.
And so here we are.
Well, and I do think, I was thinking about this episode in preparation. Like, I think that goes for any brand new project, right? Sure. If you're on your 15th RV park, operations isn't probably the Goliath. I almost think it switches.
It's scaling.
And same with us with flips, right? Like finding the flip, financing the flip, designing the flip, underwriting it, all of that that's not challenging anymore. Executing the flip does feel a little bit like the finish line. Mm-hmm. But it's interesting the way that it can shift so much, trying to acquire passive income. That's been our goal, right? That's our big goal. Why we're buying RV parks. We're replacing our single family portfolio with RV parks. And it can really afford that, but you ride or die on your operations.
Right. I think we're
You can
buying
also ride or die on how you buy the deal, but if
right.
that part works, it's like you've got to operate it now.
Well, and I think we should clarify, we aren't buying passive income because we are actively working toward it, and we know that. We are buying cash
Will
flow,
eventually
you know?
be passive.
We are managing the cash flow
Sure.
is what we bought.
Sure.
And I mean, we're still actively, are we scared of from it? No way. We're excited. Like, we are looking at more RV parks, and we just put an
Yep.
LOI on a mobile home park.
Yeah.
So
And I will
we're just
say
getting started, baby.
another shout out and like genuine ask for anybody listening is we're looking for an asset manager.
Yeah, we are.
And part of the thing that pushed us towards that was the RV parks.
Mhm.
And so we're spread across multiple assets where we need somebody who knows how to do all of it, not just single family homes or rental management. It is literally every area of our assets,
Mhm.
lending, all of it.
And
So,
you don't have to be skilled in all those things. That's what
no,
our job is. But really, I love that you said that because, I mean, who knows? If this is you, shoot
please,
Ingrid a message or
please,
myself because we
immediately.
are looking for this part-time remote, someone that is good at that. And then also, same vein, if you, the RV park, excuse me, the mobile home park that we just put an offer on came from a good friend,
Yeah.
and former client, of like, hey, this is, I know of this. Like, would you be interested in that? I know that you just bought these. And so if that's you, send us your deals.
We will buy them.
We will buy them.
Well, we'll at least try. So anyways, yes, back to operating it. We're definitely in the trenches.
Mhm.
And I was thinking about some of the parallels to the book. I mean, I loved this book
It's
also.
such a good book.
It was incredible, but it's essentially the premise of the book is how we misunderstand power. And I think one of the key factors that um, the author talks about is that David did not wear Saul's armor.
Mhm.
And that was one of the biggest ideas of the book that then he put into all these different scenarios over time using very, classic, World War II examples all the way up to current.
Right.
But he talked specifically about David appeared to be the underdog and to have disadvantages.
Right.
And then David says he's going to come to battle and also says, and I'm not going to wear your armor.
Mhm.
I'm going to wear mine, which is a slingshot. And
Right.
it's impressive.
It is. But then he talks about how there was different types of military back then, and like
Mhm.
by all like
That part was like a
the
historical.
slingers and whatnot.
Yes. I was
So good.
fascinated.
It's so good.
Like the
But
art of war
right,
in
and it's
that
like
time.
in the general context of I'm
Yeah.
fighting this giant, like, and he's massive and has his own person to hold his sword and hold his shield because he's so big.
Yes.
And like you would think I'm going to go hand to hand,
Yeah.
and it's like that is a Goliath, that is
That
a
is what,
a
yeah.
disadvantage, but that's not what
No.
his lens was.
He changed the nature of the fight
Hmm.
and using like what he had and his God-given talents and his strengths.
Right.
And I just love, I mean, I loved the book and I loved the idea of it. And it actually reshaped some of my thinking about some of things that I think I have that are disadvantaged
Right.
or I've thought are disadvantages, as well as even for the kids.
Absolutely.
Like you, as a parent, look at your kids and think that, this is going to be hard for them. Like they're going to struggle in this
Yep.
area. And it reframed some of that for me, which was super powerful.
Yep.
So not just in business, but in life.
I love the story, and it's full of stories. I love the story and kind of connection to the girls basketball game or
Oh, yeah.
team, with the coach that never played basketball, like the dad, and like how they weren't these phenomenal athletes.
Hmm.
They didn't know how to play basketball that great, but what they could do is hustle
Yeah.
and
Like run.
and play man-to-man
Yeah.
defense, full court press. And he talked about how like the coaches would get so pissed because that's not how you play basketball
Yep.
by traditional standards. And he's like, this is how we play basketball. And it
Yeah,
works
we've
because
never played
you
basketball,
don't know how
so
to be on offense against us if we're defense the whole time. Like you
yeah,
play up to your strengths.
yep. And I think with that, like, realizing that, um, we purchased RV parks that were underperforming,
Right.
but I would say, like, don't build someone else's business. We took over people's businesses, RV parks, that had their own structure and their own way of doing things and their own way of having leases or not having leases,
Right.
their own way of taking payments and all of that. And we don't we don't want to rock the boat with tenants. The most important thing to us is that relationship with them. However, that's not also our business. That doesn't work for our family. It doesn't work for our structure of our business. It doesn't work for our cadence. Like, I'm not going to drop everything I'm doing and pick up the call when you call. Like, there's a lot of things where I would say, like, you're not, don't fit someone else's business and assume that that's the way it has to be done
Right.
as you take it over.
Well, and to add to that, like it is interesting in these two parks, they're both very similar in the operations of what you just described. And when there aren't very strong processes, that is the process.
Yeah.
And so
Yes.
it is like we come in and we're like, everyone's first and foremost like, how much is rent going up?
Yeah.
And we're like, of
Nothing.
course, some of them are a
Not right
little
now.
under market, but that's not the most important piece right now. The most important piece is like getting the operations figured out
Yeah.
and like streamlining it like a business to where, we are 1,000 miles away from both these things, if not more than that,
Hmm.
actually. And so figuring out how to manage and do it from remotely while also learning a new asset.
Yeah.
And so it's like tackling, increasing NOI by rent is not goal number
No.
one.
No. And so our goals were to stabilize the park. We did not say we're going to raise rent. We needed to increase occupancy and get everything kind of settled. But I think one of the smartest things you did, this was you um to kind of make sure that things were going to go well, was give us a runway on the interest payments.
Hmm.
And I think that was one of the smartest ways that we were able to stabilize in the
Right.
first 6 months. So talk about that.
Yeah. So what that means is, on both of these is we got interest only, essentially interest
Mhm.
only payments. One park, it's already interest only. We just got a discounted rate for the first 8 months. And the other park is interest only for the first 6 months. And the reason is because that way your monthly payment is lower. So it gives us a little bit of breathing room to understand the park, get to know the tenants, implement some of our things. It's not quite as fast as a simple residential property where it's like,
Mhm.
I'm going to come in, I'm going to paint the walls, update this, change the carpet, get it on Zillow for rent, and be done. It doesn't quite work like that. There's a lot more pieces, especially when you're remote.
Yeah.
And so it's more like steering a ship
Mhm.
um, versus just simply turning a car.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that gives us a little breathing room, which is
Yeah.
helpful.
And so with that, like, the Gladwell talks a lot about a desirable difficulty in the book where, obstacles like that might be challenging. I'm thinking specifically about, it wasn't ADHD. It was
Oh, yeah, it was dyslexia.
a dyslexia. Yes.
Hmm.
Something that might be looked at as a disadvantage.
That was so powerful.
Oh my gosh, actually was people had to adapt.
Hmm.
And some of the most brilliant minds have dyslexia. And because of their adaptation over the span of their life, they've been incredible business people. And so,
Like incredible business people,
yeah,
like CEOs of big companies.
yeah. And I was thinking about that specifically with being remote as our desirable
Hmm,
difficulty of the park, because we have shied away from investment opportunities in the past because we were remote.
right.
And 100%, I think this one is going to turn into one of those desirable difficulties because we are paying such close attention. We are paying closer attention than the local park managers that we purchase it from. And it's all because we're remote.
Because we have to.
Yeah, we don't have a choice.
I mean, a good example, I installed cameras.
Yeah.
at both parks, neither of which had cameras.
Yep.
And so is it for anything other than for me to be able to monitor? That's it.
Yeah.
But I have literal eyes on the park 24/7.
Did you just like sit there and watch the
Like, okay,
sunset?
the park's going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks sunny.
It looks sunny. It's windy.
Yeah.
It's Texas parks. It's windy there.
But I definitely think that is going to become one of our advantages is because we don't have a choice but to make this thing
Hmm.
come from afar.
I hadn't thought about that. And it's so
Oh,
true.
it's so true.
So in when talking about the book, like the dyslexic section was so powerful and like
Mhm.
for our kids, like for Andrew specifically, he has an IEP, and so it made me think of him instantly.
Yep.
And like I've always thought of like man, he is so just the way his brain works is different.
Mhm.
But he does have this ability to focus, and when he does, it's like, man, it's amazing, but he gets distracted pretty easily.
Sure.
And I feel that about myself a lot. Um, but I'm like, this is you, buddy. Like, you learn how you learn
Mhm.
best, and then the fact that you had to overcome the traditional learning obstacle, like you can become this incredible gifted leader of, that's what the story is.
Yep.
And what is interesting is like Malcolm, I think he interviewed them and asked them like, would you change it? And they all
Mhm.
said yes. However, like it's because of their disadvantage that they became where they
Yeah.
are now. And so
Yeah.
it's like they wouldn't want it on anyone,
Mhm.
but they learned how to learn. And by doing so, like they had to focus different attention in
Sure.
different ways and so good.
Well, and I thought about that with RV parks and what was our like sling and being remote is it. And I was thinking like, okay, if you're local to either of these parks, you can come in and clean house and you can get rid of the tenants that late pay or don't pay. And you can be this strong force. And we 100% cannot. And we knew that. And so we came in as like a gentle new approach where tenants trust us. They call me more times than maybe I would like.
Inga.
But
They call you Inga.
yeah, I'm like, whatever you call me, it's fine. But relationally, we've always been strong. And it's interesting how now in these parks, seeing this spin up in operations where it's like, we're playing to our advantage. Our
Mhm.
advantage is relationships. It always has been.
Right.
And this is the only choice.
Well, and to that, like part of my last, 6 weeks, I've traveled to both parks.
Mhm.
And met the tenants and like shook their hand and
Yep.
asked them what they need and got all these, got feedback of things.
Yeah.
And I think that plays into the relational side. And it does help that I'm not there.
Yeah.
So it's like they can't just like come knock on the door and say, hey, you need to fix this because
Yep.
I'm not there.
Yep.
But they do know who I am and they know
Yeah.
that I do genuinely care and that I want to help.
Right.
It's been funny. The Oklahoma park, more than Texas, has been very like the tenants are very much like, why did you buy this?
This is a couple from Idaho.
Well, you guys live in Idaho, but then when I tell them I'm from Oklahoma, they're like, oh, okay,
You're one of us.
you're one of
You've been
us.
accepted.
Yeah, it's funny.
Another theme of the book that Gladwell talks about is the limits of power, which I thought was really interesting
Hmm.
because he kind of leads you, and he's a great storyteller,
He's a great
but he
storyteller.
leads you in these chapters down these stories and they progress, and you think they're going in one direction. And specifically, he talked about this with law enforcement,
Hmm.
and then kind of takes you back down this other path where essentially he says that their authority can backfire when it lacks like legitimacy and honesty and like empathy. And it was all about statistics and
Yeah, and it was like
crime
crime in like
rates
a specific
and
area,
yeah, but
but it was how they approached it, how
yep, and it
this
was
new
all
like captain
about
like approached
mhm,
the people of like caring
yeah,
and influence over just I'm in
control.
charge.
Yep.
Period.
Influence works a lot better than control.
Yeah.
And I think that was a decision we had to make early on with the parks too about some of the local management, specifically in Oklahoma, where, um, you know, we need to slowly get her to the place where she's paying what the equilibrium is of responsibility and reduce rent. And she's also our eyes and ears, and it wasn't going to happen immediately. And we can't just come in strong arm. Hey, you're going to start mowing the lawn, and you're going to start doing this, and you're going to start doing that. We don't actually need you to collect rent anymore because we're going to do all that digitally. You know, somebody's genuinely concerned when that happens, and so that kind of slow, um,
Yeah.
not using your power as just the strength, but it being like it can turn into a weakness if you overdo it.
Well, and like practically speaking for that, like with her, with this one, guest, this tenant that we have that has been the unofficial park manager on site at the Oklahoma Park.
Mhm.
Nice gal. She gets a discount, and we're trying to figure out why. Like,
Yeah.
like what do you say you do here? And um, so in talking to her, like how we did that, talking to her face to face, I kind of put it back on her. I was like, totally love that you're here. It's amazing. It's totally worth it.
Mhm.
I'm happy to keep that in place. Can you do you mind like knowing what you know? Can you put together like a job description
Yeah.
of like the thing, knowing that the rent, collecting the rent was the number one thing. In other
Sure.
words, like she was the mailbox that they would all bring their cash to, and then the previous owner would just come by and pick it up from her. Kind of strange, but that was the process. And so now that that's gone, because we live in 2026, and we are big fans of online payments,
Because we can go to the
because we can,
moon,
because I hate
or
going to
maybe
the
we
bank.
can't.
What do you like? You build it. Like,
Yeah.
what does the job description look like?
What do you
Um,
want it to look
what
like?
do you want it to look like? I even offered, I'll give you 100% free rent.
If
I'll,
you can find enough things to
if you can
justify
find
it.
enough things that, and that's where I kind of casually said, like, well, the biggest piece that we have is mowing the lawn. I'll buy a mower, like, and again, a riding mower, it's 3 acres. So, I mean, a riding mower, I was like, I will happily discount your rent all the way if you would like to do this. And yeah, I mean, so it kind of puts the ball in her court.
How'd you respond to your lawn mowing?
She was a slow pause. And then she's like, well, I would be willing to try it once to see how it worked. I'm like, well, I'm not going to go buy you a $2,000 mower and then
I
have you try it one time.
love it.
Yeah,
Oh,
gotta love it.
man. Okay, one of the other assets that, David had was he didn't have ego, but he had, I think it was described as, quiet preparation. So when he was convincing Saul to let him go to battle on behalf of them, he said, "I have fought lions and bears, and I have protected my sheep, and I have ran, and I have, you know, I've had solitude, and I've had to have skill and faith." And it was like this quiet preparation over time that led him there that really nobody else had. And I'm curious, like, what do you think our quiet preparation was to help us feel like we actually could do this?
Interesting question. I think,
I know. I'm full of them. Just get
well,
warmed up.
I think first and foremost, a simple preparation. It's not necessarily our parks in general, but it gave us a preparation of understanding, which was we've camped in RV parks a bunch.
Mhm.
So like just understanding the basic necessities of what is there.
Yeah, like, if you're a Four Seasons goer, you're probably not investing in RV parks,
You don't know how the
okay?
sewer pipe works, like none of that stuff. And so like just general, like we've stayed there,
Mhm.
and that helps just to know what it's like to drive in and know what it like, oh,
Yeah.
this is a back in spot. Like, that's where you back the car,
Oh, I didn't know. I didn't know.
for all the spots that you parked us in. Um, and then just having our residential
Mhm.
portfolio over the years,
Yeah.
because the way that ours is structured, it really is, it's hitting on two skill sets that we already have of
Mhm.
relationship and long-term property management.
Yep.
And that's really what this is.
Yeah. Wanna hear mine?
Yeah.
Um, so, I mean, like, David's confidence didn't start in front of Goliath, right? It was building in the background. Um, the septic systems and our experiences with Greenridge,
Mhm.
which were painful and expensive,
Mhm.
and I learned so much about septic systems in that one transaction.
So true.
And so ensuring that we're getting the right kind of inspection done, not assuming that the owner before us did it the right way or that they know, not just taking their word for it. And then making sure that we are prepared for whatever that looks like. And so with the RV parks, on one, we discovered a completely new septic system. We were told the park had one septic system. It actually has two. That's fine. But when you go
So
to
true.
get them pumped, you need to pump both, not just one. And then also understanding what expansion looks like how many square feet is the actual leach field? Is the leach field exhausted? When was it put in? When will it be exhausted?
Right.
Where is it? Because some of the leach fields are not where they should be. Like all of that information in terms of due diligence helped me feel way more comfortable because that has been my kicker. And I remember asking Pace at an RV park tour if he scoped every line of the RV parks and of the sewer system, like during due diligence. And I think he looked at me like I was crazy and like, why would you ask that? And it was just this big holdup for me.
Mhm.
And I think I would have been really conservative with them if I hadn't had that experience at Greenridge.
Yeah. It's funny, like thinking back, you you asked that question of Pace. I was with you, obviously. We were up at Glacier
He kind
RV
of
Park,
stared at me.
and it was before you really knew Pace. This is like your first interaction with Pace, and
Yeah.
you asked him that question, and that was right when we had been going through some septic stuff at Green Ridge
Yeah.
the year prior to closing, but it was like we had just gone through it. It's just funny. So like it was top of mind for
I
you of
know. I'm
like, oh
like,
my gosh,
man,
what
this
about
is
the
going to kill
septic? This
us.
septic is massive.
Yeah. And it is massive. Like septic, there's some things with an RV park you really need to make sure about,
Hmm.
like easements.
So easements, that is our next thing.
Yeah.
At a next park or our next adventure, we're
Hmm.
learning a lot about easements right now
Yeah, we are.
in the throes of an easement, not dispute, but misunderstanding is better. But
I would also categorize it as title not doing their job and maybe our first experience exercising title insurance.
yeah, so
Who knows?
we got a neighbor and we're thought he had an easement on the property. So yeah, it's more to come on that because
Yeah.
it's actively in process right now.
Yeah. But I do think it's good to like look back and like Goliaths in your life, right? Um, have you had experiences that prepare you? That you don't need the ego because you've been doing this quiet preparation and then turn that and look at it in the future of like, what are we being prepared for right now?
Hmm.
Because we are being prepared for something and there will be a new Goliath that feels big, but we've been quietly being prepared with our experiences. So
I mean, there's so many like Christian parallels to this of like this. Obviously, the story comes out of the
mhm.
Bible, but of and you hear these stories all the time of like your testimony becomes like this thing that you can stand on. The people that
Yep.
have these really challenging testimonies in their life, and then not knowing like this is my testimony, they find Jesus and they realize like, wow,
Mhm.
my pain and sorrow and all these crazy hard things that happened in my life. Now I can use that as my testimony, and it's powerful. It's like this
Yeah.
thing that I stand on. Like this is who I am now.
I
And look,
think too about I think it was Dean Graziosi who talked about why are you trying to get better at things that you suck at?
yeah,
Was that
it
him?
was.
Okay.
I'm like preach, Dean.
Yeah, and I mean, I thought it paralleled very much with the book
It
where
did.
it essentially it's like what is already in your hand? What hand were you already dealt? What skills do you already have? What are the lessons you learned the hard way and how can you use them instead of sitting there and saying, I'm really bad at underwriting. Let me go spend a ton of time, effort, and brain damage to get better at underwriting. No, go hire the underwriter and you go be the closer because you're really good at that.
Right.
I mean, it's essentially the same as the David and Goliath.
It is. I mean, I feel like the human nature is not always that.
No.
Um, and it is tricky, but it's so real. Like he definitely does like, what do you have that's a gift? Or like, What do you have that maybe has been hard? Maybe you start with there. What has been hard in your life
Yeah.
that because of that, if you change your lens, it might be actually a gift?
Yeah. And I think that was one of the questions like I wrote down to challenge the listener. So for you guys, like what giant are you facing and are you trying to fight it with armor that doesn't fit?
That's good,
Isn't that good? Thank you. Yeah.
right?
So
Can we just talk about Goliath real quick? Because I don't want to spoil the book, but if you didn't read it, you should have.
so turn off your
But
podcast and go read it.
like I mean, who knows? Like it obviously he didn't interview Goliath because he's dead with his head chopped off, but like it talked about like his disadvantages and his Goliath's,
Yep.
um, like his likely disease that he had that made him so tall and what goes with that disease of like nearsightedness
And being slow.
and being slow and like he might not have had, like this.
He might not have been able to see.
Yeah. It's just like, wow. Like
I know.
it is crazy. Like maybe that's why he had his shield bearer because he couldn't see very well.
Well, and it was a good we just watched the movie David when
So
it came
good.
out last fall,
So
right?
good.
Oh, so good. So this was planned, of course. But in the movie, the depiction of the actual the rock hitting Goliath, that depiction I think is probably really accurate. And it's almost like Goliath doesn't see it coming.
Right.
I mean, it's really powerful. It's a great movie. Go watch it,
It
Jim.
is a good movie. All right. Well, let's wrap for this David and Goliath
Yes.
RV park
Yep.
saga.
I know. Well, and we'll probably be a little slower through the summer. We're going to try and slow down on work and podcast stuff while the kids are home, and we'll still
Kids
be
are home
here, but
and family is visiting, and
you'll probably hear from us a little bit irregular or more like every other week, but
we'll be out
still
on the boat, yoked on the
stay
boat.
tuned. You did that
I
one.
did. Maybe we should have yoked on the boat too.
Okay. Yep.
2026.
Only if it's 60 and rainy.
All right. Well, as always, be sure to like and subscribe. That helps us and helps the
Yes.
algorithm, and send it to somebody that wants to buy an RV park. And yeah, check out our RV park. They're sandhillrvpark.com. And the other one is pelicanlandingrv.com.
Yep.
And we are partnered with north.com. I am at the Travis Hall on all the socials.
And I'm at the Ingrid Hall on Instagram specifically. If you know of an asset manager or you yourself are interested in that position, we are getting ready to hire for that. So shoot us a DM. And as always, we'll see you next time.
Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of the Yoke Podcast. We hope you enjoyed it.
And as always, be sure to like, subscribe, and follow along as we drop a new episode each week.